individuals. We're not institutions. So we have to go the retail route.
Right.
So we're literally getting in on the high end. I mean, if you were to go to Edward Jones right now, right, and say you have a stock at 95, they'll get you in, but they're going to get you in that stock at 107, because that's what just happened to me 3 days ago.
Well,
I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's their commission.
And to some extent, I believe,
Margin, yeah.
I mean,
Plus they're doing you at the market, and they're not doing the trade the moment you see it.
Yeah.
They're doing it
Blockchain
Sure,
eliminates those
when
people.
they can.
get in line.
and that's the point.
That's the point.
It opens it up, so you don't have to be an accredited investor
Right,
in order
exactly.
to, and they don't have, the developers don't have to have,
A prospectus with actual.
who, whoever's incubator.
I call it the
Right, the Google incubator
Right.
to go into, which you know how that's going to end up when they come out of it, right? So
Right.
what we're witnessing is the underdogs of an emerging financial markets. That's what we're witnessing because online, like a lot of them are on Twitter, developers. I'm watching 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids trading tens of thousands of dollars in different coins. Obviously they're not, lawyers or, they're just young people.
This is where you start seeing a lot of the frothiness. That's what you're referring to.
This is
The frothiness is what I call
yeah,
it.
the
right?
hype. Yeah.
Well, so at Consensus, we were lucky enough to go to a launch party, and I met two young Spanish kids, right? And
I'm mostly focused on good-looking girls.
and so one was 20 years old, the other was 23, and they launched a coin, right, that night, and in 20 minutes raised $20 million. And
What was the
literally,
name?
Well, what Bancor just raised $135 million in 30 minutes.
But
Well,
this
Ken
is,
Draper.
this is two Spanish kids. One of them
Yeah.
was literally hiding behind me while drinking his beer because he was scared the bouncer was going to kick him out.
Nice.
So what is,
So we're
where do
watching
you find
the distribution of
the
wealth, that's what we're
procedures to
Well,
do
you have to go
that?
through an ICO. And
Yeah, I know, but where is that?
So most of the ICOs you're ever going to find are going to be overseas, and most of the ICOs that are advertised do not allow U.S. citizens to participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
I would also tell you a good ICO, if you can get into one, it's usually the team. Now there is a white paper behind it about what they're going to do and blah blah blah, but it's usually the team is what makes it a bigger ICO. Like they've been in the space for a long
Yeah.
time.
There's a common.
There's some names behind it.
There's
right?
a saying in Wall
Typically.
Street for new companies, you don't bet on the horse, you bet on the jockey, right?
Mhm.
And in this space, you see the developers that are in there and
For now.
caliber,
Mhm.
right? And that's what a lot of people are basing their investments on,
Yeah.
right? It's where's the most developers focused on right now, right? There used to be a time, right? So yeah, there used to be a time when Netscape had the biggest developer basically base, and they're no longer around, right? So that's how I view investments in this space: is where are the most talented developers programming right now? Right? And I follow those guys.
Do you have any idea who is it right now?
So there's a bunch. I mean, there's several.
Bunch?
They're
Where?
everywhere around
But
the
really,
world.
Around the world?
Ethereum to me is the one that has the most concentration of
Yeah,
developers,
yeah.
Currently.
and the apps that are coming from Ethereum. So
Yes.
since you guys are new, I don't know what level of new you are, but remember, this is a network, right? This is a circle. This is a blockchain.
Oh, hold on,
And I'm sorry.
Are you sure Ethereum has most of, from the numbers I saw, it's like most of the most of the developers on GitHub are like all on Bitcoin.
No, the apps that come from, right?
Yeah.
So the apps based on Ethereum.
Oh, okay.
The apps
For the
based on
apps,
Ethereum,
like,
right,
with the
right.
actual protocol.
Right. No, the actual use cases, right? So what can I actually use this Ethereum for?
Yeah.
Well, if I
Singular
actual
DTV is a
services.
good one. Singular DTV is set to disrupt Netflix, a decentralized streaming.
Right, and then there's a library coin, right? That's set to disrupt YouTube. So it's just a different platform
Yeah.
to base businesses off of.
Whatever you're into, whatever industry you do, that's you should maybe strive to look into those coins because they're coming, and then that will kind of maybe you'll feel better if you start buying.
Well, you'll typically understand it more,
Yeah.
right? You'll get the language that this is how we're going to disrupt. It's not just this blockchain, but here's exactly what we're going to do,
Yeah,
and who we're cutting out. Essentially,
Yeah,
what it is.
you may say, hey, there goes my job. No.
Yeah.
So last question for me. Obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two big, things,
Yeah,
right?
the two biggest, correct.
Yeah. who is the biggest player behind that? You think?
Draper by far. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Bitcoin,
where's Bitcoin?
Chinese or Japanese?
Jesus.
I think
person
Huh?
or governments or corporations or
Oh
what?
no, I mean, I'm Japanese, right? It's like crazy in Japan. I was in Japan 2 weeks ago, so like everybody But I came to back to Texas and nobody knows Bitcoin.
The
Right.
It's
Chinese have been in the Bitcoin space or in the cryptocurrency space since like 2010, 2011, from
Yeah,
the
they've
very
been-
beginning.
very beginning.
Like they've been.
okay.
the
Because
Chinese
they
have
don't
been-
have a choice to take money out to
Well,
outside of
Yeah, because of the communist governments, they have capital controls.
Yeah.
So like they,
You think Chinese the biggest player behind the Bitcoin? You think it doesn't have
And
that?
they're also
Tough to
Chinese
say.
also have a lot of like chip manufacturers.
Oh, you're right. Cheap
Right.
one, huh? Cheap.
Yeah.
So they can mine, right? Mining. and stuff
Yeah,
like
Exactly.
that's why you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
such
yeah.
centralization.
Bitcoin, same thing,
But-
right?
But now what's happening is
Yeah.
now they're hitting up against Moore's law, right? Where if you don't know Moore's law, it's technology basically accelerates every 2 years. It doubles in power, but
Yeah.
halves in price.
Yeah.
That's the simple version. Chips aren't getting faster or smaller anymore. They've hit up against a wall. So the chips that are coming off the assembly line are now going into machines that are being shipped to the United States or to Europe or South America, right? So now they're able to mine,
Yeah.
right, and still compete with the Chinese who had a very low cost of entry,
Yeah.
a very low cost of operation,
Uh-huh.
right? So now you're going to start seeing, I think, a little bit more balance, more
All over the world, right?
well, right,
Spreading, yeah.
because-
With the cheapest electricity, right?
right.
Yeah.
So
Where is
that's
it?
where the proof
Venezuela.
of work.
Venezuela?
Yeah,
The cheapest electricity?
$1 a month.
Oh.
Or
The cheapest what?
To mine,
Electricity.
cheapest cost to mine. But remember also,
That's because they're
communist government
collapsed.
subsidizing a lot of the cost
There's
of
maybe
electricity,
relation, huh?
which means mining is very cheap.
Oh.
But Venezuela, they do it for food,
Oh.
not to trade or make money. They do it to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way they do it is they're using
Mm.
Amazon and they're literally
Mm.
buying Bitcoin with their fiat, and then they're using Amazon, then they're shipping food into neighboring countries, and they're crossing the border and smuggling the food over. I kid you not, that's actually what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, remittances is where you send money overseas, okay, or other countries, right?
Mhm.
And so this is where remittances, and a lot of people do believe it's going to impact and really bring mainstream adoption is
Right.
through remittances, because
Mhm.
these people, their fiat currency is has zero intrinsic value.
Mm.
So, but does anybody have? I mean, does anybody have 2 or 3 different cryptocurrencies? Does anybody have more than 2 or 3? Does anybody have more than 4?
3 or 4. I
You have
know.
4? What do you have?
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I just bought my first BitShares.
Okay.
And then I have a deal I'm with. I went to a nice conference in LA a couple weeks ago, and we're talking about using
started-
gamification.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Did you know? Oh,
Yeah, no,
Gamification of what?
Yeah.
oh, well, gamification of like
Anything at
like
all,
trading
really.
courses and stuff, and they can use coins to do that.
Okay.
And we were combining that and.
Is there a coining around this, or they're just?
Well, he's coming out with something called Karma Coin, and we're going to have this game called Mogul, and he's also playing off this book called Ready Player One.
Who is this now?
A guy named Matt Trainer, he's like my internet mentor that I've been following for a couple of years. And he's just kind of putting together all this cool stuff.
Cool.
Okay. So, what made you buy into BitShare?
Well, I was at this conference, Stan Larimer, the father of Dan created BitShare and, if I understand right, and Steemit, right? And he's the one
Yes,
that's creating
and he- and
he's
he
the one that's
left.
creating EOS.
Ah.
EOS or whatever. you
Yeah,
call it.
EOS. That's right.
But
That's
his
right.
dad was there, and I met him.
Ah, all right.
And so, and he
Okay.
spoke about all his stuff, and in their world, just kind of it twists my mind because they have distributed point, DPoS, distributed proof of stake,
Yeah.
and they have witnesses instead of mining. And it's taken me 2 weeks to like every day I'm on Steam reading about all that.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's just
I
like
know.
totally turning me
Yeah,
around.
I'm sorry, but then in Norwich,
Okay.
friend of mine coming
It's really
from
fun.
Japan, they met, she became millionaire within a year because of Beat Monster. Have you ever heard the Beat Monster? Like Ponzi
Oh.
scheme thing?
Yeah, that's
They
another thing.
said, but
There is
they-
so many
The crowd-
Ponzi schemes
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
It is out of control. And so even people I personally know and
Yeah.
grew up with literally have asked me. I'm just like, I told them exactly what I think. I think they're preying on people's hopes and dreams, and And when they lose everything, you know, I mean, hey, you made them a promise, and this
My
was
friend
So-
became millionaire already, you know, so
You
she
know,
can get a,
So here's a stat that I read literally last week that
Yeah.
so the hysteria is getting so much. So
Yeah.
I use Coinbase. I wouldn't say a lot, but I use it because I like to pay taxes through it. Right?
I see.
They keep a whole tally for you in the back end. You can access that, and then I believe last year I got like a 1099 from them. So that's kind of cool. They opened last month 400,000 new accounts.
How many?
Coinbase.
Coinbase did.
400,000.
400,000 new accounts just last month.
Coinbase is equivalent
No
to the
wonder.
Goldman Sachs of
Yes.
the digital age.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so you can kind of take from that the hysteria that's kind of going on, right?
Yeah.
Hence, that's one of the reasons why Charlie Lee, right,
Right.
got Litecoin on there,
Yeah.
right?
So there's people. So Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, we have no idea who, what, he, she, alien, robot. We have no idea, right? But there's all these other coins that you can, you know, Charlie Lee, and you know, there's CEOs of all these other coins, and you can read about them and their past. You know, what it does is it gives them a level of accountability. You know, and there are some coins out there that they're completely private. We don't know, you know, who the developers are or anything. Actually, one of the coins I hold is POSW, and it is obviously a risk, but they are coming out with their own Ledger Nano special edition wallet or hardware wallet, and with their logo printed on it. And so I'm like, well, they're working with a big manufacturer, so you know, I don't have too much. But anyways, so you know, like I said, CoinMarketCap, you can see all these different coins. If you just constantly read the data, then you'll start to understand it more and more, and then you'll answer your own questions on what to do. But there's so much information daily happening that, you know, it would take a team of people to really dissect everything.
Yeah. It's really-
Did I read that right when you gave me the name? What was his name?
Satoshi
Satoshi.
Nakamoto.
I saw in the Wikipedia it was telling all about him, and then it says that because I didn't know what that was. I know she told me that was a human or whatever, you know, but. Over there, I think somewhere I read when this first Bitcoin came out, it used to sell for $2 first start and set.
It's
below
it's-
$1.
It's below a
It
dollar.
was below $1.
Ethereum, same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't jump on until it was 20.
Mm-hmm.
When
20
Bitcoin hit
cents?
$1, they were like celebrating. We
Yeah,
got
they thought,
dollar
God, we have
parity.
really made something here. Yeah.
Oh man, we're
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
in big time now. We're
Yeah.
dollar guys.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I remember that. I remember when it hit 100.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say.
They really celebrated.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, we really got
Wow,
something here now.
But
Yeah.
it's nice. It's still, you can touch it, but the real estate and other things, untouchable, too expensive, everything.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's the
You know, so there was, so I was listening to Cuba today. Look, it's the
Mark
bubble.
Cuban?
Yeah, it's the bubble of everything. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's.
He said it's in a bubble when it goes down.
Right. Well, I put $20 in bull crap. You put $20 in. You put 20 million in.
Yeah.
You mean? But anyway, but there's everything's at an all-time high except commodities. That's the only thing, like grain and salt and stuff like that. That's the only thing that's not at all-time. Everything's at all-time highs. Stock market, the real estate.
Here's a
it's
question.
crazy. Coins.
What is going to crash first? Is it going to be the
Most expensive
Bitcoin
one.
ecosystem, or is it going to be the U.S. dollar? Which one is it going to be?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because that's what I'm trying to, you know, anticipate.
Yeah, so if you're in coins, you want the fiat to crash, really.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think with Trump is here now, I don't know. I'm a little bit more optimistic as far as.
Well, last week the tech sector is what literally
That-
holds everything because
Yeah,
of innovation.
Thank.
And there was a
thank God.
flash crash, and then all this money flowed in.
I would.
So basically, a lot of people are buying Bitcoin in other countries because their money has no value. And the thing is, Americans, we don't think that anything like that could happen to us. And that's
There-
really the shift that we're in right now.
Neither do
Yes.
There's going to be a whole different set of
So what do you do?
problems.
Right.
But they're
Right.
but
But what do you do? You know, do you
This-
buy Bitcoin to hedge?
Spread.
Do you,
Spread.
do
That's
you,
a-
do you take the cash? Do you buy land?
I think you invest in what you believe is going to progress.
Everything's tied to the stock
Well,
market.
most people. So Jerry Jones would tell you you invest in what you know, right?
Exactly.
He didn't even own stocks,
Right.
right? He
Well,
just
I mean,
invests in his
largely-
companies and what he knows, right?
Largely, Buffett's not a fan of gold, right? I mean, it's
Well,
It's a
why would you
business.
be a fan of gold? So a $10,000
so
investment.
that's what you're taught.
Right. A
I saw that.
$10,000 investment in what was it? 2012? 10?
2010.
2010
Or was it 2012?
would be worth $167 million today in Bitcoin.
Yes.
And if you put $10,000 in gold, it'd be less than $10,000.
No, it was 100%.
Oh, well,
It was exactly 100%.
It was right at
And so,
that is so nuts.
I know.
Even think about that.
and
So that means at $1,000 would have been worth $16.7 million. I mean, unbelievable,
Well-
man.
well, that's what happens with
It's
groundbreaking
nice.
technology.
Yeah.
So what
Regulate you
are there
participate the game.
immediate, aside from trading the currencies, up and down like forex?
How
trading,
can you?
what other ways are there to
Generate income?
to monetize on this? Because here's what I immediately see is the second I go on to try, and I'm pretty like, I get down rabbit holes and just go, right? Most people aren't going to do that. They're going to hit the web, they're going to hit the internet, they're going to see lots of just, crazy noise
Lots
about
of numbers.
Bitcoin, which isn't really but why it's moving forward. It has nothing to do with the get rich quick thing, but that's
Well,
the
I-
first
I-
thing.
I think it depends
and
on
then
who
you
you're
don't
reading
know.
to.
There's so much that they all look the same. So like the infrastructure of the websites could be shaky, even with Coinbase, just because of the volume,
Yeah,
right?
they're not. They're
But
not
so
It
it's
actually
not
went
shaky
down.
company,
Yeah.
It keeps going down.
but it's just because it's growing so fast.
Well, think about this. Think about in real time if you do a fundraiser, right? Here in Dallas, car wash one, right? I'm sure everybody here has probably done one at one point, right? And hey, you're just getting money locally, okay? We're not talking, we're talking down a few blocks, right? People just driving down the street to see you and they pull in, or they're going to, a hardware store or a restaurant or whatnot. So we're not talking on the state level. We're not even talking on the country level. We're talking on a global level. So obviously that's why these sites keep going down, because they don't have the proper equipment to handle the traffic. And when hackers attack sites, it's called a DDoS attack, denial of service. And so it's kind of the same thing, because people, when it goes down, when we're trying to buy or trying to trade, then we're not able to access.
And that's why the
That's
ETF didn't get approved.
Everyday happens.
It didn't have anything to do with the integrity.
It's the liquidity.
It was the liquidity. They didn't have the infrastructure capable of it, and that was the reason that it was
The
cited.
SEC
Yeah.
approved it.
But which is telling about the position that we have on it. Because
Right.
if there was, they didn't say no.
Right, they just said no right now.
I will tell you this: World Economic Forum. Okay, if you follow the WB, World Bank, and the IMF, International Monetary Fund, they're starting to produce articles, and they one of the, in my opinion, it's not really a prediction anymore, because there's so much data, right? And our data, our lives actually have value on the net, and that's why there is like Steam It, where you can vote and earn. There's
I
also
just did my first blog last night. I made
Nice.
$24.
Oh,
My intro.
That's what I'm
You
talking
gotta tell
about.
about Steam It if you want.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
that?
yeah.
What is that?
Anyways,
Steam?
and so
Steam
so
It.
the data, we're constantly producing data. I mean, they're constantly getting it, right? Here's an example. Industries of the future. So this girl was pregnant, and she didn't know she was pregnant, and but she went to Target and she made purchases. And so the purchases that she made was similar to a pregnant woman. So what they did is they sent marketing advertisement.
See you guys, thanks.
To this lady's house, and her dad got the mail. And,
That's what, like they say about Facebook, if you don't pay for it, you are the product. You're
Right.
not the customer,
Right,
you're the
yeah,
product.
That's what they- that's applies to everything.
And so, you know, basically, yeah, she had no idea she was pregnant. They already knew that she was before she even knew.
What are you talking about?
And so there are already coins that already exist: Augur, predictive market, Genosis. So you know this ecosystem is spreading so incredibly quickly that there's unlimited ideas right now, and really anybody, you know, if it crashes, which I think it will, but you know, it's still you're witnessing the change. And by 2025, World Economic Forum, you can check me, said that that's when the real flipping will be happening. Not of Ethereum, the Bitcoin, but of fiat and
Crypto or digital.
cryptocurrency. Well, we already technically have 2025.
But 2029, they're going to have artificial. I mean, computers are going to be as smart as us. So it's like
Right. Which
It's
is
like
that's why
right behind
I
it.
advise people to read that book, because what's happening is it's a race for quantum computing. And so here's how they explain quantum computing. Basically, let's say we're in the downtown library. It's massive. There's floors everywhere, right? Let's say I grabbed a random book, put an X, and I just threw it in, you know, one of the shelves and didn't tell you, you know, where it's at or anything. The computers we have today, it would take decades upon decades, possibly even centuries, to find that book with that X. With quantum computing, not only could it read all those books, but it can find that book with that X in a second. So the real game changer is quantum computing, and Google is getting closer and closer. And I've been talking about this for a while. It's the word they keep throwing around. It's called basic universal income. I saw a video last night of Mark Zuckerberg on May 25th, 2017, talking about it.
Speaking of Tesla, Elon Musk.
Yes, another one.
Yeah.
So you know, we're going to witness. Remember, wealth is never destroyed; it is only redistributed. So, in my opinion, we're going to see a big redistribution of wealth, and you know, and really Bitcoin or crypto, whatever. Hey, that's why I listened to this guy Ty Zin and Leon Fu, because Ty Zin said, hey, you put your money where your mouth is, right? And you know, I believe in crypto, and I already see the use cases, and so you know, unfortunately, it doesn't matter how much you tell people to make them move, you know, to withdraw money out of their account or whatnot. You know, they're just not going to do it. So the only thing you can do is just educate yourself and figure out which direction that you want to go, and then of course, you know, get hardware wallets. I mean, it's just remember also those little nano, remember
Ledgers.
No, like this is like 20 years ago when I was a little kid. They were like a little, it's like an egg, and it had like a little dinosaur. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So now look at it. You know, hey, look at cell phones. You know, Nokia, black and white. You know, I actually remember on TV, and it was actually in Japan. They were like, oh my gosh, Japanese are playing a game on their phone. It was like, I actually remember watching it. I was like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Gotta get one of those.
Tamagotchi?
And then now I'm looking at virtual reality and the gaming. I can't myself. I grew up playing a lot of video games as a kid. I can't even believe the graphics and how realistic, you know, even the movies. And so we keep progressing. As technology progresses, it will continue to the system that we follow. It will you know, eliminate tons and tons of jobs, you know, income, and I believe the first one will be the self-driving cars with the self-driving 18-wheelers, which is already capable.
Yeah, it's really
So they just had a study, and it said that the market for that will reach 7 million by 2050
For what?
for self-driving, like they're in that industry.
Every major company has a division for self-driving cars. Every single one of them, and I believe that.
Well, or the technology. Apple doesn't. They just want to provide the technology. They don't want
Software.
private
It's Google.
car.
Never mind.
That's the
Google
singularity.
Google
You read the
uses way
singularity,
better.
that's 2045.
And so yeah, I mean we're you know, like I said, we're in a very interesting time, and you know, the only thing you can do is just educate yourself and try to, you know, make good decisions. But the point is that I believe that everybody needs to make some sort of decision, you know. But you know, the big question for me is, hey, which one's going to go down first? It's a matter of time. It's not a matter if it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Well,
Something you said kind of make me think really deep right now, because my daughter, she's 36. I got twin grandkids, 9 years old. She just received an email saying, "Congratulations, you are pregnant." You know, I mean, how they find out that the girl was pregnant? That part.
Because there's algorithms and software.
Her purchases,
Her
her
purchase-
purchases are tracked, right?
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, every time you use a reward card, every
Yeah.
time you use reward points, that's all data that's tracked, right?
And see, she was
But-
saying how much
and
she
people
spent
buy
money.
that.
Like it.
Yeah.
Banks,
No, they don't.
banks aren't banks. They're data centers.
They,
Because they know
I'm going
us.
to tell you a story.
They know us better than we know us,
So,
right?
I'm going to tell you a story. I read this book. It's a fascinating book. It's about 10 years ago. No, it's probably about 7 years ago. Bank 2.0. Brett King is the author. He's Australian by birth. He lives in New York now. And he tells a story about, I don't know if you guys remember Google Glass.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
you used to
yeah.
put on this thing.
Yeah.
So let's assume you're driving down the street, nice neighborhood, you see a Remax sign or a Century 21, a for sale sign, and in the bottom corner there's a QR code. Your Google Glass picks up the QR code, and your phone in your pocket knows where you are because of GPS, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All of a sudden you get a text message from your bank that says, "I see you're looking at the house.
Ooh.
It's 250,000. You're already approved if you want it. Check yes."
See?
Right?
Wow.
Now that'll never happen today,
Yeah.
right? Because of regulation, because of all the stuff that we have to go.
Well, it was happening.
Well,
Right.
so it's coming. That's what I'm saying. It's coming.
It's
So
already there,
that
but
is
they don't
awesome
show
because
you.
now all of a sudden, so if you've ever purchased a house, it's the most tedious, cumbersome,
Yeah.
excruciating process you ever go. That's why people only do it 3 times in their life, right? Because it's horrible.
Yeah.
So it's a horrible process. I know. I work for a bank. So imagine now you get that ping from your bank that says, "Check yes if you like it," and you say, "Yeah, all right." They send you all the documents electronically. You sign them digitally. You
Yeah.
send them right back. All of a sudden, the electronic door lock on the door goes, "Bing, open." You go into your house.
Ooh.
How awesome was that?
No, I don't like
The
it.
bank that figures it out, right, first will win, right? Because they're going to take all the friction,
Yeah.
the difficult parts out of the equation. Think about this. Your bank knows how much you make, direct deposit, how much you spend, how much you have saved, what your credit score's like. I mean, they know everything about you financially.
Yeah.
Except the Bitcoin too.
Yeah. It's,
Now,
Well,
that
any
we just,
crypto, really.
we just eliminated so many middlemen in that equation, right? Where's the title company in this equation? Gone, right? Where's so you have
Realtors,
all
right.
realtors gone,
how many banks is Wells Fargo going to close next year?
right? I mean,
They're going to close 400 banks.
Which one?
Branches.
Fargo?
Most
Right.
part.
Yeah,
So-
because they're obsolete.
now take it to the next level.
But you know, one, banks do what they do, right? So it's to be closer, but it's also a real estate play as well. So
But if you use cash,
gotta go.
they can follow
Hey,
it, right? Bank, if you use everything cash.
Well, no. So no, absolutely. No, cash is absolutely one of the options, but it's not something that everybody wants, and not something that everybody has,
Yeah.
right? Because physical cash is difficult to carry, fire, theft, whatever, right?
I
You
know.
lose it.
Oh, you're a banker.
So in this scenario,
But
right?
it
You
is
just bought a
privacy.
house. You just bought a house. Let's just assume that for $250,000, right?
Okay.
The next day you go on a business trip.
Yeah.
Your bank knows you're going on a business trip because you bought the car, you bought the plane ticket with the credit
Yeah,
card.
exactly. Yes,
Right?
yes, yes.
Because of
Just-
GPS, it knows you're in Terminal D at DFW and you're about to take off back to Japan, right? All of a sudden you get another text message.
Yes.
Hey, congratulations on your new home yesterday. I see you're about to fly.
Mm-hmm.
You now have an extra $250,000 worth of debt. Your life insurance is a little light, but for $12 extra a month,
Yeah.
your family's taken care of because you're about to get on a plane. Do you want it, yes or no? You just eliminated
It's not your
every
business.
insurance salesman in the world. You see what I'm saying? So this technology, right? Now, that hasn't happened yet. Brett King wrote this book, I said 7, 8, 10 years ago,
Mm.
right? Blockchain wasn't as big as it is today. Now you have a potential where this can actually happen because of blockchain.
Have you seen the video like she's in this VR world going to the grocery store? It's actually augmented reality. She's going
Okay.
down with a grocery cart and things are lighting up. It's kind of like the Minority Report. There's a
Got
scene
it.
in there
That's
that kind of
exactly
gives you
interesting.
But it was like an Asian movie that or
Yeah.
looked like a 2-minute video. It's really cool. If I can find
So
it.
these are just some of the use cases that are coming down the pike, which is why I think so many people are piling into this. But this is the US, right?
Yeah.
We're probably going to be one of the last places to fully adopt it because we don't need to, right? I can pay you with cash, check, debit, credit, ACH, wire, Venmo, PayPal. How many different ways can I pay you? 100.
Chase Pay?
Chase Pay, Apple Pay, or name it. The guy in Venezuela, he has no way of eating. So he doesn't care about potential use cases and excite. He cares about his next meal, right? And Bitcoin is the only way for him to do it.
With the hyperinflation in Venezuela,
Mhm.
are they trading gold, silver, or Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Who didn't make happen?
That says
It
something.
didn't happen.
Because people were like, oh, well, I'll just buy gold. Dollar goes down, I'm buying gold. Well, guess what? Gold goes down too.
Yeah.
And guess what? Other countries, they're doing peer-to-peer trades, transactions. Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think with gold, you can't just send on the internet. You know, you have a piece of gold on you. How do you send it to like somebody in Canada or
The Winklevoss twins, you can YouTube them. They're the guys that essentially said they created Facebook, social media. There's a movie. Anyways, and so, they'll tell you that it's better than
I think
better
it's.
than gold.
I think it's
How
the.
about, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think I'm. I didn't mean. Go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think that, Bitcoin and the currency thing is beyond a critical enough mass that it will survive, and its adoption in other countries is legitimizing that is inevitable.
Well, Japan
I think the true shift in that changes the way we operate on a going forward basis that drives that sort of like paradigm shift is going to be the peer-to-peer contract. Scrap what you think of as a contract and imagine it
Ethereum.
as a
So like a house.
could be a house. It could be an agreement.
Well, a house
it could
would
be
be
an
perfect.
expectation. Anything that is an expectation from between two parties is a contract.
How long does it take to buy a house right now? Time with everything. Just as a guess.
60 days.
60 days.
And as
But
of
with Ethereum,
Still? Like that
smart
long?
contract that's programmable, like you said.
Yeah, and all that stuff's
It's-
been in the Stone Age, so it needs an update anyways. So,
Yeah.
but when people come to the conclusion and realization that, hang on for a second, I'm not communicating directly with him right now, and realize how much they don't have privacy,
Right.
it will become a major issue.
So
Is Bitcoin private?
Is Bitcoin private?
Yeah.
well,
It's not under an authority.
No, I mean
There is no
it's in
company.
the transaction.
I'll tell you, it's a public blockchain, so
Pseudo-private.
all it's pseudonymous.
Pseudonymous.
All the
transactions
transactions
are-
are public.
all transactions are visible. They just
You
don't
don't
have
have to.
identity tied to the actual
Right.
coin.
Yeah, so
No, I
if
get
you
it.
want to, who knows? I guess there's multiple things. I've gone down a bunch of rabbit holes with this over the last couple weeks. I can't sleep because I am in the real estate industry and finance and I do the
Real
mortgages.
estate
I
market.
know
Yeah.
how backwards it is, and I hate where it's put
Friction.
me because people don't understand. There's a complete lack of understanding of what a mortgage truly is. Where the source of the money isn't the bank. And if you realize that, you would be asking all the questions that you ask when you go get
That's a
it.
good point.
It's the mortgage industry won't change until the source of the money changes.
Right.
But this possibility is opening minds of people that say, you know what, I can put my idea out there and most people don't even know what crowdsource funding is.
It's a new model for
people are going to come
driving
out of
business.
their creativity and be able to operate. The value of a coin is essentially anything you want it to be. You know,
Well,
your
depends
time
on supply
is
and demand, but yes.
you're people are rethinking value, adding
Absolutely.
and bringing value to the table.
Because what is currency but an abstraction of value?
Correct.
Right? If you think of the history of money, which I recommend everybody if you can,
Yeah.
if you don't already know the history
Yeah,
of
it's an
money.
accounting system. That's
Right?
Yeah.
Documentary End of Money.
Video, right?
Absolutely. There's fantastic stories on YouTube
Exactly.
that tell you about the history of money and the iterations of money and the abstractions of value that were exchanges money, right? There's a difference between currency and money.
Mm.
Most people don't even understand the difference between currency and money. There's two completely different things, right? So if you understand the basics of money, Bitcoin I think will be easier to understand.
How is currency money different though? Can you get into that?
Yeah, so currency, again, another abstraction, right, of value, is anything that we can exchange between two people that has value between those two people.
That's called
Medium of
currency. I
exchange.
know that.
So like cigarettes, ramen noodles.
We can go back even further, right? Go back even further. So you have children,
Yeah.
right, that
Pokemon
exchange
cards.
Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
That's money to them, right? That's an
But money or
abstraction of
currency?
value. Well, currency, but to them it's actually money. It actually has value.
Okay.
So money to me is anything that has value. Currency is something that can be manipulated. I'll give you an example. Money to me, gold, right?
Yeah, I know, but no,
We
you
have
know that.
Andreas Anthropoulos. Write this name down if you can, because he's a very intelligent. I follow a lot of his videos,
Yeah.
and he talks about this in one of his most recent talks. So,
Just
does
put in
money
Andreas
serve?
Bitcoin and then you'll find it.
I'm telling you. So
Andreas Bitcoin, you'll find him.
right.
Andreas Bitcoin, yeah.
Okay.
If you YouTube Andreas and Bitcoin.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
money has a couple of different basic fundamental rules that have to exist, or else it can't be called money.
Mm.
Same thing with currency, right? So one of the things that takes them makes them both the same is they're a medium of exchange, right? Money can be a medium of exchange, and currency can be a medium of exchange. Now, one does it better than the other, right? Money can be gold, right? But it's not a very good medium of exchange. So I can't send it to you via the internet, and
Can't carry it, you
I
know.
can't carry it to buy a house, right? It's too big. I can get robbed. So, but as a medium of exchange, currency works well. It's just a horrible store of value. Gold is a good store of value and a good form of money, but it's not a good medium of exchange. Bitcoin now all of a sudden comes out, and it's a great store of value. It's a great medium of exchange. Now it's actually even a good unit of account, right? So, and now when you put it on a distributed blockchain where everybody can see what's happening, then now you're adding something completely new that money or currency has never had. Right? So currency still exists. What was the example that I think that he gave? We can have a silver coin from the Roman Empire, right? The intrinsic value is in the silver, but because it has a stamp of a Julius Caesar's head on there, it has more value than the actual silver, right? So the perceived value, the monetary value, that can be exchanged, right? But the actual intrinsic value is in the silver.
But like what you said, as far as crowdfunding, so I invested in the world's first movie powered by Ethereum, and there's people. Think about it. This it's actually based out of Switzerland, and that's where all the innovation is coming from. Actually, many things that we use is out of Switzerland and Sweden. But yeah, so people from all over the world are
Investing.
Putting money in.
from everywhere.
Yeah.
Because they like the idea of the project, whatnot.
Exactly.
So you see, we're just changing everything.
Yeah,
because
right now you got to go to an incubator in California. I mean, you've got limited paths here to participate in that space, and to some extent, it's too intimidating.
Well-
but this opens it.
So could you crowdfund your house?
well,
Why not?
That's a good question.
Keep going.
But
Why-
when Nevada, what
Seven
Nevada
more.
just passed, though, they just opened the floodgates.
You can crowdfund
for
down payment.
businesses. They're saying, hey, we want people to come here, open blockchain businesses. That's exactly what they just said.
Oh,
That's last week.
Okay.
Now New York
No,
City,
Texas yet?
Texas did pass.
You said Las Vegas a minute ago. Which one?
Nevada.
Nevada.
Was Texas pass something like the right to hold?
Yes, amendment. They added it as an amendment to the right to hold virtual
Virtual
currencies.
currency.
That was a couple
What
months
is it?
ago.
So the ATM
Texas?
machines,
So-
are those viable?
Yes.
Are they?
ATM
There's I've
machine.
seen
I
I've seen
went to this,
a number of them. is that space crowded, or can you get in?
There's only 3 companies that produce vending machines or
Yeah.
Bitcoin ATMs.
ATMs.
Yeah, I just talked to the guy at the cigarette, place. The owner lost, 5 of them from China or something. They shipped to United States. The government took it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. So that's why.
Customs.
At the customs.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's what he said.
Wow.
And then,
That has been
18
happening.
years old, under 18 years old cannot get in the cigarette store, and I mean, so much restriction, and then, yeah.
But basically, it's really people, if they, obviously there's, for instance, movies. There's I'm sure everybody's watching a movie they just did not like, you're like, wasted an hour of my life, right? And so now when we want to, someone comes out with an idea for a movie, well, it's like, well, now they can just get funded by
Yeah.
anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
So it kind of, it gives the humans, kind of a little bit more influence on society.
Yeah.
I
unlike
have a
before.
question. Like my country, Turkey, right? I've been away long years ago, but I've been here, and like because of this President Erdogan or whoever that is, on and off the internet goes down because he don't want this be heard. He don't want this. He shut down the whole internet in
Censorship.
Turkey. Huh?
Censorship.
Yeah, and then but it sometimes it lasts so many days, and then sometimes if he cannot shut down that, he doesn't intentionally shut down the electricity to that unit, to that
Really?
area, to that One day this area is all dark, one day is in they don't have electricity and they don't have nothing, they cannot. So if people that who owns like coins and stuff in those type country, will they be affected? Like if
Well,
they
yeah, absolutely, because they
Yeah.
don't have access now,
See,
right?
that's what
They don't
I'm
have access.
saying,
So what
yeah.
will happen, just like
Yeah.
with anything else, they go to a jurisdiction that allows it,
yeah.
right? So what ends up happening ultimately when you put cumbersome or difficult regulations in place,
Mm-hmm.
it'll pop up somewhere else.
Yeah.
The Red Flag Act, right?
Mhm.
So everybody's heard of the Red Flag Act?
No, I didn't.
So the Red Flag Act back in the 1800s, so, when we, British essentially invented the automobile,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the incumbent industry that was gonna be affected the most was the wagon industry, the carriage industry, right? Because they were gonna be displaced by automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a rush, they went to Congress, their version of Parliament, and passed what's called the Red Flag Act,
Oh, that's right.
right? So, if you're gonna own a vehicle in London in the
Mhm.
1800s, you needed to have a man running 50 yards in front of you with a red flag
Yeah.
to warn people that this machine, this devil machine, was gonna come down the road and kill you,
Mm-hmm.
right? The incumbents, the wagon industry, the carriage industry, basically forced this law through to protect them from new technology, the
Mhm.
car. What happened? The technology came to the US, the rest is history, right? We have Detroit, Henry
Oh,
Ford,
that's what it
is.
because we didn't have the Red Flag Act. So
Yeah.
you make regulations that are difficult, the technology will move to where it's not. Same
Mhm.
thing with Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
If you make it difficult here, it'll go somewhere else.
So what we're witnessing too is the expansion of marketplaces. So Silk Road was the first one that integrated Tor, which is a hides your IP and hides your identity, and then they used Bitcoin. So it was nothing had ever been created like that. And so now we're starting to see marketplaces, for instance, a coin called SYS coin, where you can have alias names and use Zcash, which is an anonymous cryptocurrency, and make transactions with no one knowing who you are. And so, but this is where the war on drugs, because obviously, hey, people are gonna, it doesn't matter, they're gonna buy things if they're legal or illegal, right? Obviously, it's a complete fail, and I think from Silk Road and Ross Ulbricht case, I think that just like Portugal, eventually they'll be forced to legalize all drugs because marketplaces and anonymous type of coins, people are going to be able to sell whatever they want. And where it's a fail is that they took down Silk Road and made this big old news, and painted this guy very very smart. He's basically a PhD in physics. He graduated from UTD in Dallas, and he switched to Pennsylvania University, and then he became an entrepreneur. But anyways, as soon as they shut down Silk Road, other marketplaces popped up anyways. So they're playing the whack-a-mole game, right? But they can't stop it. And so we already have one country legalize all drugs. You already have Uruguay legalize cannabis, and next year we're gonna see Canada legalize cannabis as well. And I didn't know this until recently. U.S. we have more people in prison over just cannabis alone than the entire prison population of the entire world from one drug. It is a money-making machine, and it's
Really?
That's called how we tax it.
and so we're marketplaces, all these tools. We're going to see massive shifts in laws. There's all these anti-privacy style laws being passed, and that's why privacy coins are so high. Z coin, Z classic, Z cash, if you value privacy, then that might be a direction you may want to read into.
Oh, I have a question. Earlier you were asking about whether we thought or whether Bitcoin was private. I know I set up a Coinbase account a while back, but I don't remember what was required. Did they require some sort of photo ID or something?
They can at different levels.
Oh, okay.
The more you buy, the more they ask.
So
Right.
basically,
Which is what he does, the KY.
Oh.
KYC.
Okay, so basically,
Know your customer.
they can track who's sending what, right? Because they have your ID there anyway. And then also you link your bank account to Coinbase,
Mhm.
so they can trace it back to you.
Exactly. Yes.
Even
And so
people
it's not really anonymous. Like,
No, it's
well,
not.
was it originally anonymous?
never was.
It never was. Oh.
What happened?
Even if you don't use
It
Coinbase,
depends.
let's say we transact.
Mhm.
There's already tools that they can figure out,
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
what's going
By
on.
telephone number,
It depends.
Facebook.
Okay, to answer your question, right,
Uh-huh.
it's always anonymous, whatever. The blockchain was never anonymous. It's a public ledger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of, you know what that is. But
ledger
if
is
you
just a
go
book.
through if you go through Coinbase,
Mhm.
of course you're gonna know your identity, right?
Mhm.
But if you go to say like a Bitcoin ATM
Mhm.
and you put $20 and buy like a Bitcoin,
Yeah, I
you
did.
know,
Yeah.
no identity,
Mhm.
doesn't ask for anything, right? For-
Telephone
So
number.
your cell phone
Maybe-
number, though.
Right, a cell phone number.
Like
Start
it's
getting up in the amounts, yeah, which is a
Right, right.
piece of ID.
Uh-huh. The
It's
cell
not your driver's license, it's not your birth
But they can still
certificate.
track you based on your.
But
Your,
cell phone
your
number
computer
also-
has an
also
IP
easily-
address. An
Uh-huh.
IP
Yeah.
address
Right.
is a telephone number.
So
Oh yeah, that's
So
what it is.
they could always track down.
Yeah.
But there are tools out there to help hide.
Oh yeah.
There's a
What's the
browser
name?
I use, Brave.
Mhm.
There's Tor, which is
Well, there's
another.
tumblers too, right? So.
and that too.
There are ways, but it is definitely getting, in my opinion, harder. And I always advise people to use more security and encrypted type of email. And I use Proton Mail. It's based out of Switzerland. It's encrypted
Yeah.
email.
These days you show the
Yeah.
the passport and everything. You take picture, right?
Mhm.
And leave it there. It's kind of scary.
How
Yeah.
Or-
many people use it
Ooh,
in like
but
public libraries?
too easy.
Can they
Yeah.
use it?
Yeah.
Use what?
I mean, whenever
That
you
the-
do a transaction or whatever,
What do you
not
mean?
buying or whatever you do, and I don't know, I'm just new in this.
Do you record
But
all these?
you say for your computer,
Can we
IP number,
listen to the
right?
old ones though? I mean,
So
like,
you use
are they
the,
everywhere?
It's actually the
your
first
computer,
time.
they
Okay.
get your IP
Because I'm
number, right?
like
But if
Irving,
you
and
use
I
it
don't come
from
out.
library?
public
I just-
library.
That's actually what Ross did. Ross Ulrich. That's what he did when he got arrested. He was in a public library in San Francisco, and that's how he was hiding his identity.
Because I'm always cautious about even my grandkids when they use public libraries and stuff. I always tell them, don't write your names, don't write your thing, you're very
We haven't
deep,
posted on today,
you
you
know.
read me about it.
So that's why, it just hit me now, the question.
It is a
When you-
way, though, to obscure, meaning make it hard to find you,
Mhm.
or I'm sorry, obfuscate. That's the word. Obfuscate.
Yeah.
And to find who you are.
Mhm.
So but yeah, that's public library.
I mean, I don't have that intention, but I am very,
You should.
whenever when something comes up, I like to learn anything and everything about, you know?
But
Yeah.
in a way, we can win against those smart people, right? If they want to steal something, they will steal anyway, right?
That's exactly what
Yeah.
hackers-
So I mean, steal, come on.
But
If
the
you will
word-
steal everything,
The word
right?
hacker?
Yeah.
Who is it? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
They're much smarter than us,
it's
right?
equivalent, in my
Way
opinion, to
smarter.
the terrorists, we don't really
No.
know, right? So, you know,
Maybe it doesn't exist. That's what it is.
well, it does exist because there are cyber warfare happening
Yeah.
that we have no idea about,
Are you
right?
kidding? Really?
Yeah, it's on such a massive scale. I mean, I actually didn't know the world's biggest company is Saudi Arabia Oil Company, and that they were hacked in 2013, 2012, one of those years, and it ate through 50,000 computers within days.
I believe security companies.
And so the hottest stuff, yeah, the hottest industry, you know, if you have kids or whatnot, it's anything in, you know, cybersecurity. It's really anything that's, you know, digitized, right, online. And those are like the super hot, it's red hot, you know, industries for people, you know, developers. I mean, we're just moving towards this technological society.
I know, but again, like hiding is not gonna.
It's gotten harder.
because they are much, you know,
It's
way
got-
ahead of you.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten harder, but it's still
Still you can-
possible. But
yeah.
cash is anonymous. The
Cash.
bank doesn't
Go.
know necessarily. When people take out money at night, they know that they're buying drugs. No, but you know,
Do you guys
no one gets arrested. But
weekly?
but when you make transactions, you know, they you know, when you make you know, transactions
Noticed him
with
yesterday. I pulled it up.
Bitcoin, yeah, we
That was
don't
the first
know,
time.
you know, because it's just letters and numbers, right? Cryptography, right?
Yeah.
Highly advanced
Much
math.
difficult than
But there's
then
buying
for the first
Amazon.
time-
there's already tools to pinpoint, you know, because it's, remember, it's
I didn't realize how
timestamped.
much stuff.
Uh-huh.
Right?
They're like, okay.
Timestamp,
just
okay, yeah.
attached, but,
Exact
there was,
time, right?
Yeah.
And somehow, you know,
Yes,
I don't
yes,
know
yes,
exactly,
yes.
but there's already tools
are
to
all of
locate.
them even?
Because they've been
Yeah.
arresting people
So
around the
it
world.
doesn't,
You've
you
been
know,
up-
try to
you've been
hide
up-
it.
Does
It doesn't help
Bitcoin
anything.
too?
Do they, are they all
Transaction?
formatted like this?
Those are very traceable.
Yeah.
Or
Because
don't
like when I
talk,
use
or
my
are
when I
some
use
more
my
structured than others?
debit card, I have one liquid card only. I put the only most 500, but I never use any other because I'm very, you know,
Right,
like
and
worried.
so that's where, so I'm in the middle,
Yeah,
perfect,
yeah.
right? So America, right, you know, that
Well, sometimes
we
if you talk
we
to
just
people with no
throw it all in there,
insurance,
right?
I come to-
Full
like,
trust.
I can't come to all of them, and I saw it.
But people overseas,
I'm not good.
no
I don't-
trust.
yeah.
there's no trust.
Yeah.
But you can't always do
And
that.
that's where another
It's
shift
like
that I think
Yes.
we're gonna experience, and the people that are more cautious are gonna be
Yeah.
in a better position, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't even look at my account, even that for $500 card, if they do it, they can do that, but has no connection with my other
With their
account.
big money.
And then I
Maybe
pay
that-
my bills with that, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Can you do that?
I say,
How do you
okay,
do
if
that?
I lose 500, but I won't keep it.
You don't wanna keep.
But I don't even go online, check my statements on my other
Really?
account. I
Money
don't.
side.
Because bank, I say, jump in the car, 5 minutes, go to the bank, and I mean, even you
I
can
think a
trust
lot
that
of
they
it-
can take your number
That is-
from the electronic.
Unfortunately,
media.
that is, won't be around in the future.
Yeah.
We won't,
Well, at least not here. At least not here.
Yeah.
I'm from Mexico originally, and
Mhm.
it's still the same way. People don't check their balances online. They're scared to
Yeah.
go. They just go to the branch
Yeah.
and wait in
Yeah.
line. And it's a cultural thing in Mexico.
Yeah.
So it'll take a long time.
For us.
Yeah.
The difference
Too many
is
things I'm doing.
Mexico, their only payment method
Mhm.
is pesos, and the peso keeps
That's
falling
the
in
other
value.
Mhm.
So
they're
eventually,
forced.
people are going to be waking up and
Yeah.
realize, hey, wait a minute,
I work in
I have a little bit of Bitcoin and it keeps going up.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of pesos and it keeps going down.
Yeah.
So eventually, they're going to make that move, right?
Mm.
When is it going to happen? When the pain is big enough,
Yeah.
right? Right now, it's not big enough,
not big enough
but
yet.
it's coming, right?
Yeah, in Japan, my area, nobody uses credit
Do a
card.
seal for your
Still,
customer.
in Japan.
Really, it's all cash?
All cash.
All cash.
Yeah, they trust.
Now it's going to be all Bitcoin. They're going to bypass credit card.
No, but
you know,
only
basically.
Tokyo, like only cities.
Oh, only cities.
But it's
Okay,
like
it's
when
such a
they-
big gap in
Yeah.
Japan, you know.
In America, some places they don't even accept cash. I mean, you
Right.
have it in your hand. I say, hey, I will pay my rent cash.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You
You know
have to
why?
go online. Or no, I don't want to pay online.
You know why?
It's all inside
Mhm.
stuff.
Because then they have to turn around and deposit the cash
Yeah,
with me.
yeah.
And then I have to ask them a bunch of questions. Where did you take cash? Who were
Yeah.
your customers?
Yeah.
How much did
Yeah.
you sell?
Yeah.
That's
It's getting
what happened.
worse,
So
huh?
banks
It's
said, you know what,
here.
banks said, I don't want cash, because then I gotta report
Yeah.
to the government
Yeah.
where the cash comes from. So you know what, I don't even wanna mess with it. It's expensive, I have to count it by hand, that means I need 2 tellers, where a machine can do it a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way banking is going.
I see. Okay.
But banks, well, the IMF produced, I believe the IMF or WB is really one and the same. They produced, that there won't be a need for banks in the future. So that's what they said. And there's actually one site called the Bank of the Future.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally online, but Ripple, one of the coins we talked about, is basically like a whole new bank. Because all these banks are already on there from Japan, America, everywhere.
Yes.
And like
Mitsubishi.
a buddy of mine that had no idea about crypto, I told him about it, and he liked Ripple. I don't like Ripple because it's centralized, but anyways, he was buying in under a penny, and it shot up exponentially.
Yeah.
And so he passed me, and I'm like, what? He had no idea, but kudos for him, for killing it. But anyways, so. The more, like I said, the more you research about the different projects, then the better
It's
you'll
interesting.
understand.
Yeah, it's more personalized thing.
So I'm curious with you guys if you could explain smart contracts in a very simple form. So let's say I wanted to do an exchange with someone and do a contract instead of like a traditional written piece of paper, right? Or like a mortgage. How can smart contracts
Think of
make
it.
easier?
Think of it as
Like an email.
as an application
Yeah.
that's hard coded to do what you tell it to do.
Okay. But you still have to have
and
someone
compress all this information.
customize it and like
Right.
get together and like agree upon how to set it up though, right? So wouldn't it still be a process, a long process still?
It doesn't have to be.
I mean, a contract that we do on a regular basis is really
That'd be turned into apps
not.
probably, right?
I mean, sign your name.
Mhm.
Put, a real estate contract. I mean, there's 50,000 realtors in Texas, and they print out the same old one every time,
Right.
and it's dummy proof. I mean, it's
It's boilerplate.
What's your name buyer? What's your name seller? How much you want to sell it for, and how much you put down. I mean, it's essentially all the data minus the parties, right? And so it is a paper application. I mean, not
It eliminates all the middlemen.
and so it can be. But here's because I was wrestling with the same thing too. Because the first time I heard it, I was thinking the literal description of contracts, and I think what Ethereum, if you follow some of these.
Okay, thanks for the time.
Bye-bye, guys.
Enjoy the time.
If you follow some of these founding people,
So, yeah.
they get pretty deep in their philosophy and to some extent take a lot of a lot of responsibility for the integrity of what they're developing, and I think what my interpretation of Ethereum contract is intentionally wide open to be as
Ambiguous.
Yeah.
as what you and I have an expectation back and forth, right? And because I guess the legal definition of a contract between two parties can be verbal, it can be written,
It could be on that.
right? And so it's really the agreement, the expectation, acknowledgement that creates a social contract or a contract. There's broader contracts, like social contracts. I'm living in this country, so therefore I abide by these laws. You didn't sign anything, but you're here. So it's in its true broad sense, Ethereum is a wide open.
Maybe more automation.
It's
That's
a
I can only kind of see it because like with like smart cars, maybe a quick payment
Self-driving
system
yeah.
that like if it's agreed upon.
It's a platform.
It will be- they'll be
that's kind of the only
simple.
part I can see, but other details are still like a little fuzzy.
You mean
to me
other
to
industries
understand.
where
Yeah, like how
it
it
would
can
be
be
in?
applied, like in logistics or something. Like a shipment comes in,
Yeah, that's a
I need
huge
to
one.
run in
So-
time, and I need to make payment for it, right? Or
They're
or how would
basically
it work?
if they utilize
That's-
blockchain for like moving food from the globe, it'll save like billions of dollars.
Well, what about penalties? If you deliver on this day, it's this much, but if you're 5 days late, you pay a penalty or something like that.
I think I think it is as open as imagine. I think the first obvious versions will be centered around, because of Bitcoin leading as the first use case being financial related. I think the most obvious methods are going to center around financial instruments, and probably, we'll probably see variations of securities, bonds, futures,
Yeah.
and
That's why the Nasdaq filed a patent for Ethereum.
Yeah, there's a bunch of potential. I'll give you one that I'm really excited about, and I don't know who's got it out yet, but I think it's coming. There's one company. I'm one of those guys that probably will never sell my Bitcoin until I hit my number. And everybody has a different number, right? Whatever that number might be. But I'm not going to get rid of it. No matter if it falls and crashes, it's going to come back up, I think, right? Long term, I think this is the play.
Yes.
And so while I'm holding on to them in cold storage, because